Hey everyone, it's Roy from Aurora Infotech in Orlando, and want to have a brief discussion here about passwords again, and based on some new information that was just made available by the FBI and NIST, which stands for the National Institute of Standards and Technology. It is the governing body that sets really the cybersecurity framework or the policy that, certainly the federal government in the United States, as well as, I would say all governing bodies and more so everyone that's in cybersecurity pretty much follows, including other countries. NIST and the FBI came out with some new recommendations. I should really say the FBI came out on new recommendation based on NIST's revised recommendations on what really should constitute a password and how frequently we should change the password. And so let me break this down real quickly for you. First and foremost, the recommendation now is to no longer limit or use a minimum of 8 characters, but to really increase that to a minimum. And the operative word there is minimum, folks, of 15 characters. And now you may look back and say, 15 characters, that's going to be impossible for me to remember. There are password managers that can help you with that. But here's the thing. The FBI is recommending that you use passphrases versus passwords. Now, if you remember from my previous videos, and if you certainly, read any of my blog posts or was at one of my speaking events, a passphrase is a series of words that are put together. But what they're recommending is to make those words unrelated. I don't know. Let me give you an example. Red bird, green grass, black mailbox as an example. It has surpassed the 15 characters, but it's something unique that I would remember. Now I would probably not, have a number of different colors in a passphrase, but you get my idea. It's certainly not, you don't want, something that's a sentence structure. And this is somewhat different to what we were, recommending and what we were told before. The other thing that they're, coming back now, and mostly for businesses and enterprise systems where, and even online systems where people are often required to change their password every 30 days or in some cases 90 days. They're coming back and saying, hey, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that because that is part of, that is sort of the crux of the issue here. How many of you, and I'll raise my hand, have in the past, at your work or whatever, when you logged in and that, password change request comes up, that you have just taken your existing password, put it back in there, and maybe added 1 or 2 symbols behind it. And the issue, of course, is that the root of that password did not change. So if that password, those credentials already exposed because of some type of data breach, or they're down in the dark web or even in the hands of hackers, well, guess what? They already know the first 8 strings. They just have to figure out what the next 2 are, perhaps, to be able to crack your password. So they're getting rid of and making recommendations to get rid of these periodic password changes. And one of the reasons why they're suggesting people to go from 8 characters to 15 characters is because today's computer systems can crack an 8-character password in a matter of seconds. I mean, there are technologies out there today that will brute force passwords and do all sorts of, utilizing all sorts of techniques to actually, crack a password. You can see the sun is rising here as on my face. And so what they feel is that, going to a minimum of 15 characters makes it a lot more difficult, and the computing technology that's available today, it would actually take them, several years to be able to crack a password. Now, let me forewarn you and say that that is based on today's technology. We are at the cusp of, quantum computing and a number of new technologies that will really throw that completely out of whack. So don't be too surprised that a few months from now, they may come back and revise that and say, hey, you know what, instead of 15, it really needs to be something like 20 or 25. So my recommendation right off the bat, try and do a passphrase that is maybe at least 20 characters in length. Utilize that passphrase to log into your password manager, and use your password manager to set the passwords on all your accounts. This way you only have one password to remember, passphrase, I would say, and that passphrase is the golden key to get into your password manager. Do not use that passphrase on any other websites. Let the password manager set the passwords for you. I hope you found this information to be useful. We'll continue to come back and give you tips and update you as more information has become available. However, it's all about you. It's all about your security and improving your security posture. And at the end of the day, reusing passwords or using, non-complex passwords or not following guidelines will certainly, get you in trouble. Thanks. Have a great day, and we'll catch up soon.